Welcome to another episode of UCRD Reviews. Today we have a regular release, which is kind of surprising. This mobile suit comes from Gundam Secret Weapons Phantom Bullets, which is related to the Gundam 0083 timeline. This is the RX-78GP00 Gundam GP00 Blossom version anime, also known as the Gundam GP00. This one is the predecessor to all the GP Project Gundams we saw in 0083. This was piloted by Jack Bayard, who was famously one of the GMs that appeared in the Gundam the Ride of Baoku movie. And it was an interesting test mobile suit. It had a core booster, not a core fighter, that docked with the mobile suit. And the reason that it had that in the first place was because they liked, the Federation liked the design of the core booster, right? It took the core fighter, made it more combat effective. The problem with it was it couldn't dock with a mobile suit. It had to be taken apart in order to be put into the mobile suit for combat. This idea, this new generation of Gundams, took the idea of the core booster and made it so the whole thing could dock with the mobile suit. And it also had a weapon system and a bunch of other things on it, which was really nice. The mobile suit was multifunctional. It had long-range weaponry in terms of the beam rifle, and it had close-range weaponry in terms of the beam sabers. So it was a nice multi-combat role mobile suit. However, it went into combat, it fought some Xeon remnants, and the whole mobile suit was lost. Jack Bayard did survive, but they lost the GP00, and then it was developed into the other GP series mobile suits. We've never had this as a figure, so I'm very excited to crack this thing open and take a look at it. So we're going to do that right now. Alright, let's take a look at the GP00 Blossom. So first impressions here, I already don't like this. There's a big gap in the waist. I mean, obviously if it's down like this, you can't see it, but you can there. That's pretty unsightly. The head sculpt is nice. One of the better GP series head sculpts. You have the Vulcans in there. You have the beam sabers in their little holders. They double as beam guns, which is pretty cool. I think this whole thing's removable. And there's the tiniest beam saber ever. I think that's the smallest one of the GP Gundams. Really tiny. Yeah, I don't like that. The purplish blue color is supposed to be just blue. I don't know why they made it this odd color scheme. I mean, I guess some people might like it. Not particularly. So this is the rear portion of the core booster 2. You have ball jointed thrusters that are effect part compatible. You have little ones on the sides. It's pretty cool looking. This piece attaches to the back of the waist. It goes down onto this, so it just pops down if I moved a leg, and then it's hinged from there. It just goes up and down. Looks nice. We'll go ahead and attach this piece here, so it attaches. There's a little hole right there. There we go. And we can go ahead and attach the gun, since it's part of the back of the mobile suit. So it has this big old long-range beam rifle. So you have this support arm. It's multi-jointed support arm. It looks like it's ball jointed there and here. You have the handle for it, and this is the EPAC canister, I believe. A pretty big bulky thing. It's all just gray, which is typical for robot spirits, but it'd be nice if there was some sort of color on it, or maybe not this just muted gray color. It is effect part compatible, so we'll go ahead and attach it. So this just attaches to the other side, and then from here you have the full Blossom figure. So the head goes down quite a bit. It'll go up a decent amount. It'll go side to side, a full 360 despite these fins beside its head. These swivel side to side, of course. Waist articulation, it'll look down about that far. It'll look up about that far. You have a teeny bit of side-to-side movement, not much, and no real movement in that direction. Oh, we knocked the gun off there. The arms have full rotation. They'll come out about that far, which is not all that far. You have this little piece in the arms, I guess that's attached to the bicep. Elbow articulation's decent, not the best, and then you have ball jointed hands. The waist here, these pieces are, looks like they're ball jointed. They don't move around a whole lot because they hit the front skirt armor, which is also ball jointed. It's a little tiny piece here. You can see that there. And then we have ball jointed thrusters that are effect part compatible, as well as some on the legs, which is pretty nice. So we're going to go ahead and move. I guess I can't move the skirt armor up, can we? So with leg articulation, they'll only go up that far, which is not much. Knee articulation's also not that great. Legs will come out about that far, which again is not much at all. It does have thigh swivel, but I mean you can't go far with it at all. Feet will go down about that far. Up with toe articulation, decent amount. You have effect part compatible thrusters. This foot armor is ball jointed on one side, very typical of the GP series stuff. Let's see, what am I missing here? I think that's it. This thing kind of becomes the rear skirt armor. You have the stand piece back there. Kind of went over articulation here. This radome moves around. It's jointed back here, and I think that about covers it. So it looks nice, aside from this blue color, which I might be able to get over. It looks nice. I don't like that waist gap. That just looks horrendous. That really limits posing, because you can't have it like that and think it looks all that great. I mean, that just looks like an unfinished figure or something. So that's a bit disappointing. Hopefully the accessories aren't as disappointing. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. Alright, so we have a lovely hand rack. Two different sets of posing hands. We have gun hands and beam saber hands, so typical stuff. We have a little connection piece for the Core Booster 2. This is for the, I think it's called the MPIWS, the Minovsky Particle something wave system. I'll think of it in a moment. But this is for the radome dish to attach to the Core Booster 2. We also have this nice little stand, something I've never seen before. A little really simple stand for the Core Booster 2, so it just connects together and you can attach it here. We'll take a look at this when we build the Core Booster 2. Speaking of which, this is the front end of it. So you have the little pilot sitting in there. Same color scheme as the Gundam, of course. And it has this weapon holder down here. So again, we'll take a look at this in more detail in a moment. We have two beam saber blades for these teeny tiny beam saber handles. So that's what you get there. And next we'll take a look at effect parts. Okay, let's check out effect parts. So we get two thruster effects. Some basic ones, straight peg, easy stuff, beam saber slashing effect, and then we get the two-piece rifle shot effect. So pretty cool, and this is just our other beam saber. And then I remembered it's a Minovsky Particle interference wave searcher. That's what this thing is, MPIWS. Interesting little piece. Now, speaking of this, let's go ahead and make our core booster 2. Alright, so we have our little stand we're going to set aside here, and then we have this piece, which I didn't show earlier. It features a opening cockpit, which is pretty cool. And then we're going to we took this off the back of the Gundam. This piece kind of swivels around, and this is going to attach onto the back of this, just like that. Then we're going to take this, which again we took off the Gundam, and this piece moves around as well. But we're going to straighten it out, and this peg goes right in there. Oh, and it's just knocking everything else off. Okay, there we go. I think we got it. And it actually meets up quite nice, so it looks just like that. Then we took these off the shoulders, and these just plug in on either side here, like so. Let's just line these up a little bit. We can pull the little winglets out. Same with these here. So we're getting there. Then we're going to take this piece, we're going to remove this because we don't need that, and we're going to attach this little connection piece here, and it attaches in a particular orientation I have to figure out. There we go. It'll kind of sit like that, as you can see, and then we're going to attach it to the core booster. Alright, so we're just going to take this. You have these little peg pieces here. This faces forward, and it just kind of settles in. It's kind of weird. It doesn't really click into place, but there we go. I guess it does click into place. It didn't a second ago, but it'll sit in like that. And then lastly here you have the rifle. This thinner part right here hooks into this piece pretty easily, and it sits in just like that. Now you can take your little stand piece and attach it. Wow, that really doesn't want to go in there. Okay, let's try it again. Don't want to squish everything. You can take your little stand piece and put it right like that, and then you have the core booster 2. Really nice looking. I actually like this. I wish we'd get the core fighters from 0083. That'd be cool, but this'll suffice for now. So really cool. And the beam sabers are effect part compatible, so you can make them look like they're firing beams. So you can throw these on there, and then you can take the big ol' rifle effect, kind of do like that. Pretty neat looking. Cool little set. So let's do a comparison with all the other Gundams. Alright, so here's the whole family tree. We have the Gerbera, the Zephranthes, the Fulvernier, the Blossom, the Physalis, and the Stamen. So very interesting setup here. This is the first to be developed, followed by the GP01, the GP02, the GP01 Fulvernier, the GP03, and the GP04, which actually wasn't produced until UC Engage retconned that. So very interesting lineup. All the figures are kind of weighted different in terms of how good they are. I personally like the Fulvernier the best. The GP01 and the GP02 were really good as well. The Stamen is the one I personally like the least. It's not necessarily the worst figure of the lineup. I think the Gerbera might unfortunately take that crown. But I don't like the Stamen. I don't like the folding weaponry and the folding shield, the arm gimmicks. It's just too finicky for me. The GP04 had a really weird waist issue that was actually consistent amongst all of the released figures, which is really odd. But you know, it could have been done better, but it is nice to have these in figure form, and we will talk about this one here in just a second. So the GP00 Blossom falls into that category of not the worst, but not the best. There are some downsides to this figure, like the articulation and the coloring of it, although I suspect the coloring was done to differentiate it from the other figures, although that really doesn't make much sense since it's part of the same lineage, so the blue color should be pretty close to matching, I would think. Articulation was a bit disappointing, as I mentioned earlier. However, some of the upsides to it are that the sculpt itself is really nice, aside from that issue with the waist, and the accessories that it comes with are great. The ability to make the core booster too is definitely a plus. That's the kind of stuff I like to see with figures like this. Being a regular release, just like all the other GP series mobile suits, is really cool as well. And because of that, I picked it up for $55.82 before shipping, which I think is a good price. If you can get past the coloring and the articulation, as well as that weird waist gap that sometimes appears, I think it's a pretty good mobile suit. Could have been done better. Or not mobile suit, but figure, I guess I should say. Mobile suit's great. The figure is a bit lacking. I guess the mobile suit's lacking too, technically, if you read Phantom Bullets, because it was scrapped. This radome dish here was used for spotting enemies, and apparently it malfunctioned quite a bit. So maybe the figure falls closer in line to the mobile suit lore than we thought. But regardless, let me know in the comments if you ended up purchasing this figure and what you think of it. And I appreciate you all watching the review, supporting the channel. I'll have some more reviews coming down, so take a look at those and keep an eye out. And I'll see you next time.